What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Scream 1996. Not Scream 2022, but the very first Scream movie. Obviously, today is the 25th anniversary, and even the new Scream movie and the 12 Screams for the holidays, obviously they're doing the 4 West tribute, which I thought was incredibly well done. They did a really good job with that in terms of, having them just talk about him. But I want to talk about, the first movie just a little bit, on this channel, just again to celebrate 25 years. This has quickly become, and honestly, I do credit it to you guys watching and also me talking about it, because I think me just discussing Scream for the last, year and a half, pretty consistently, very consistently actually, has really made me love the series more. I was always a fan of the series ever since I first saw it, but as I told you guys a couple times before, I obviously never saw these movies when they first came out. I was born in 1996. I was only like 6 months old at the time that this movie came out, so I didn't watch any of the 3. I didn't even watch 4 in theaters. 4 was the one I watched closest to when it actually released. I feel like and I don't actually even remember when I watched all these movies, but I know I watched them all in a row. So I probably watched them around like a 2011, 2012 time. So I haven't been a fan, some people have been fans for, 15, 20 years. I've only been a fan for around 10 or so, let's say. But no, the first Scream movie is a masterpiece, right? We've talked about different elements of it, and, I've ranked the characters. I saw the movie in theaters again for the 25th anniversary back in October. And, a funny thing, and I've said this before too, I don't go really to watch movies more than once. If I see a movie more than once, that means it's special, at least to me. You know what I mean? Because I try to not. It's just something I don't really do. Maybe it's because I'm so much into like gaming and stuff. I don't use my time to watch movies, but there's only a handful of films. I've said it before, like Pirates 3, the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie. That's probably my most watched film of all time, probably like 30 to 40 times watching it. And I know that's not even a high number to what some people may consider. So the first Scream, honestly, is actually kind of low. I haven't watched that movie. I feel like I've only watched that movie 4 or 5 times. Scream 2, I've watched, I believe, 3 times. And Scream 3 and Scream 4, I've actually only watched twice each. So I try to keep them at a minimum, not because I don't think, I do think actually watching them more won't deteriorate them. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll still love them just as much. But obviously that first Scream movie did a lot for the entire franchise. Obviously, in terms of even the horror genre, what it did is kind of almost like bringing it back from the dead back in 1996. But I mean, when I did like the ranking for it, the performances really stand out. Everything about this movie, I guess, stands out, but the performances stand out. And this is really, well, actually it is. It's the only Scream movie where like every character, every single one, I'd argue, is like insanely good. You'll have your standouts in the other movies, but for this one, like, you could go down the list of characters in this movie, and maybe it's because they kind of keep it condensed, right? There actually isn't that big of a character list. There's actually not too many deaths in the movie, like, at all, right? So, but they keep the character list down, but every single character is incredibly memorable. Whereas you can't really say the same thing, I would argue, with 2 through 4. There are definitely standouts, but not every single one of them is a standout, right? So obviously everybody does such an incredible job. It's got the best Ghostface killers of the entire franchise, right? I would argue, with Billy and Stu. I think Neve Campbell does phenomenal as Sidney. I don't think, well, it's an amazing performance. I don't want to take away from it. I think her Sidney in 3 is the best one in all 4 of them, but this one obviously does. It's still an incredible job. Gail, Dewey, right? They're both really, really great characters. And again, like, upon seeing it for whatever time it was, the 4th or 5th time in theaters, Tatum really stands out, Dewey really stands out, Stu really stands out. Which I think Stu, a lot of people would have assumed that, but I really think just in that big theater mode or performance, those 3 characters in particular really, really stand out every time they're on screen. But the movie is just so smart. That's really what got me into it. I'm not a horror guy. I don't like jump scares and stuff like that. And I really, I've told you guys this, I don't really watch horror films. I mean, once Scream is over, I'm really just going to have to keep covering Scream, right? Or just wait for the next one to get closer and cover that one. Because I really don't cover, I do horror games. Actually, I'm quite a horror game fan. But horror movies, I just don't really get into them all that much. And so for Scream, I kind of had to do research to see what kind of horror movie this was, because I don't like, jump scares or anything too, like, not that I, like, I'm not like insanely terrified of like gore or anything like that. I just don't really care. You know what I mean? I just don't really watch it. Again, I don't really watch many movies in the first place. So, once I kind of understood, and I don't even know how I really understood it, maybe I just watched the beginning of it. Once it was like, okay, well, this isn't just pure horror, this is more about smarts. These characters are way smarter than like the average, horror victims in movies, right? That really got me in, and that kept me in. And Ghostface, obviously, I think is an incredible, costume, and Roger's voice as Ghostface is awesome, right? So those things, I think, very early draw you in. But I don't know, it's a very special franchise, a franchise that's kept these three characters throughout it, right? That's the one thing that makes it very, very special. Normally you don't, and there's continuity between the four of them. You don't really see that all that often, right? And that's cool. I mean, that's really, really awesome. So I don't know, I do remember, I'm pretty sure, I watched on my laptop. I'm pretty sure I was sitting on the floor somewhere when I lived with my parents, or when I was younger. I used to just always sit on the floor, never like a couch. So I know I watched it like that. And I just remember watching all three, and then I believe I watched four. I watched like three almost back to back to back. I think like one day after the other. I watched 1 through 3, and then maybe I took a couple days off, and I watched 4. And I remember just loving them. I didn't really have any. Like one really, really stood out. I remembered I remember the opening of 2, and that's kind of it. And then like I remembered some of 2, some of 3, some of 4, and that's it. And then years and years and years passed, and I've watched 1 again more than the other ones. 1 is clearly the best. 1 stands the test of time better than the other ones. I still I love the other ones, and actually I'm gonna have I did have, I believe, a ranking video of all of them go up. So it's a phenomenal franchise. It's a franchise I love so much. Again, but I don't want to, like, it's weird because I don't want to, I'm not like lying to you guys in the way that I was a fan and I do love this franchise, but I will say ever since I started covering it last September or August, so August, September of 2020, I've gotten way more, like in that time, I've watched 1 and 2 times each. I watched 3 and 4 once each. So, and that's kind of a big deal considering the small amount of times I've watched these movies. So I've watched them. Obviously, I've watched like clips way more often too, just sometimes, for these videos. So I just feel like, and talking about them, I just feel like I've gotten deeper into thinking about it way more than I ever did. You know what I mean? So I think I have a better appreciation for the films now than I did, say, 2, 3, 4 years ago. And I'm definitely, more into it. Now, I can safely say, that this is a top 4 to 5 film franchise in my mind. You know what I mean? I've always said, like, Pirates is always going to be my number 1, and then you'll have some other ones. I don't know how I feel about Star Wars anymore now that the Disney trilogy ruined it, but maybe that's up there. But I'd say pretty easily Scream is in that top 5, and I don't think I would have said that at all 3 to 5 years ago. I don't. But I do think talking and just seeing your guys' passion and all that stuff, I really feel like that's elevated. And it's also shown a different angle of what makes the first Scream kind of special, right? It didn't just impact my life. And it impacted my life, honestly, in a different way. I mean, sometimes these impacts come out in different ways for different people. I mean, you could argue it came out for me, like, for this YouTube channel, right? For the portion of the YouTube channel to cover this stuff. I mean, I would never have been able to do this and never been able to have you guys and grown this audience on this channel if I wasn't, a fan of Scream. So I owe it to Wes Craven, I guess, for that. I owe it to the cast and crew, and I owe it to you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think about, the first Scream. When was the first time you saw it? All that stuff. Tell me your story. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon. Obviously, I'm covering Scream almost every single day at this point. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.